is Adam Andrzejewski, and I'm the founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com. Thank you very much for joining us here today on this week's segment of the Ripoff of the Week. And we are showcasing America's governor, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo, and our investigation centers on his pay-to-play scandal. Before I get into that, I just want to review our mission with you at OpenTheBooks.com. Simply summarized, it's every dime online in real time. Last year, our auditors, we filed 41,500 Freedom of Information Act requests on nearly every single substantial public body in the entire country. We've captured the world's largest private database of U.S. public sector expenditures. We do this so you can follow the money, so you can help us hold the political class accountable for tax and spend decisions. This week, when we're talking about Andrew Cuomo, we're talking about pay-to-play. What is pay-to-play? It's when you give a government contract after or before you receive a political contribution. Now, I want to introduce my co-host. Her name is Tamara Colbert.
Good evening. Thanks, Adam, for having me. Pay to play. That was going to be my first question. So as we get started, can you just let us know, give us that quick definition of pay to play and is it legal before I ask you my next question?
Sounds good. So pay to play is when you give political campaign cash and you expect something for it. If you have business before the state, it actually doesn't have to be a state contract or a state payment. It could be a regulatory order. It could be just silence and quiet that an government executive does not get involved in your business. In New York, there is no ethics law on this. If you're a state vendor, you can give campaign cash to the governor, no matter what type of contract you have, and we're going to expose it all, from the banks to the big four accounting firms, to the governor's order and the nursing home crisis, to telcos and utilities within the state of New York. Stay tuned.
So Governor Cuomo, recently in these last couple of weeks, he is on Nancy Pelosi's top of the list to get money in this new stimulus. She's this $3 trillion stimulus she's asking for. He's asking for a $35 billion bailout. New York City's is $13 billion bailout. That's $50 billion for New York City. But this week, the New York Post and Forbes has detailed open the books oversight on Cuomo's pay-to-play. What are the details?
Well, thanks for mentioning that, Tamara, because this is why everybody across the country should be highly interested in what we've uncovered here. Cuomo is pushing basically a $50 billion bailout for every level of government within the state of New York. But here's what we found. He engaged in a systemic practice to raise campaign cash. He solicited state vendors to the tune of $6.2 million of campaign donations. Those vendors reaped $7 billion in state payments.
I mean, that's like thousands of percentage return on your investment to his campaign. My goodness.
And look, Tamara, we're based in Illinois, OpenTheBooks.com. And Illinois is the Super Bowl of corruption. But even in corrupt Illinois, we've got a law that says, and it came in after Rod Blagojevich, our disgraced governor, that says if you have a state contract for $50,000 or more, you can't give in the governor's race. You can't give to the incumbent governor. You can't give to challengers to the incumbent governor. New York has no such law. It may be legal, but it's highly unethical.
Right. Highly unethical. So what else? Did you guys map this? I know Open the Books is famous for mapping all of the swamp stuff.
Well, we've got a great interactive map on our website. Just come to openthebooks.com. We took every single campaign donation to the governor since 2014. We put it by zip code on an interactive map. You can see the zip codes in California and the state of Washington. You can see the zip codes in Texas and Las Vegas, Nevada, in addition to everything going on in the state of New York as it intersects with campaign donations to Governor Cuomo.
How many donors are we talking about, Adam? And what kind of cash?
About 13,000 donors for about $60 million just since 2014.
Wow. So I know, open the books, your auditors are on it. I mean, you are amazing. Did Cuomo's administration ever get back to you guys? I'm sure you reached out to them, right?
Yeah, they said, move along. There's nothing here. Actually, this was the quote. So everybody can go to Forbes and you can see the piece that we put up. We'll put a link to it in the comments here. Here's what the Cuomo administration said. I pushed them on the ethics. Do you think it is ethical to solicit state vendors for your campaign fund? They wouldn't answer the question, but here's the statement. No contribution of any size plays a role in any official action by any official who can be swayed by a single dollar has no business being in government. That's their response. They say they do it right. There's no influence. The governor has no influence, and none of this cash, the millions of dollars, influences any contract.
So, Adam, this week, Janice Dean, the Fox News morning weather person, she actually tweeted out the New York Post article. She is on a one-woman crusade to really get Cuomo investigated for this record number of nursing home deaths during the COVID pandemic. How does this affect this pay to play? Where does this connect from the deaths in the nursing homes and all these hospitals donating money? There's got to be something there.
So we launched this in a full-page column by Miranda Devine at the New York Post on Sunday night. On Tuesday night, the Department of Justice announced an investigation into the counts on the nursing home deaths. To the extent that we played a small role in this, we're proud of our work. Here's the timeline. 2018, the governor was running for re-election, and the Greater New York Hospital Association and the union, SEIU. So first, let's take the association. The association puts $1 million into the state Democratic Party that was used to help reelect Andrew Cuomo governor. The union, SEIU, they partnered with the Hospital Association in 2018, and together they spent $6 million in the state capitol lobbying on behalf of the governor for his health care reforms. Now, in 2019, at the end of the year, many people will remember that Cuomo booted $1.4 billion of Medicaid payments into the next fiscal year, which created a $4 billion hole in Medicaid. So he established a commission to study this. And who did he co-chair the commission with? The head of the Hospital Association and the head of the union. And 6 weeks before he publicly nominated them, they kick him a combined $20,000 worth of campaign cash. Then the pandemic hits in March, and the Hospital Association, they craft the executive order, they pitch it to him to send COVID positive seniors back to nursing homes to get them out of the hospitals. Cuomo signs off on it, and up to 6,500 seniors extra, they die in the nursing homes. 15,000 residents of nursing homes in the state of New York, they die. And what does the Hospital Association do? They run a statewide advertising campaign touting that the hospitals are safe and showcasing Governor Cuomo.
Well, and then he writes a book kind of as his own defense, right? How awesome I am at, the pandemic and taking care of New Yorkers. So sounds like there's something fishy there. I know that you open the books, you guys will be paying attention to what's happening with the DOJ and your own research in that, right?
So here we have $1 million worth of campaign cash, $6 million worth of lobbying, tens of thousands of dollars of extra donations. We've got an executive order and policy signed off on that they pitched. We've got 5 and 6 figures and 7 figures of advertising. At the end of it, we have thousands of people dying. We've got a Department of Justice investigation into this, and he writes a book saying he's not culpable at all. I mean, this is quid pro Cuomo, Tamara.
I love it. Quid pro Cuomo. Any other threats or prosecution of companies by state contracts? Who else besides hospitals has been involved in the pay to play with the governor of New York?
So we noticed a pattern here. We noticed the pattern all the way back to Cuomo being the attorney general into being governor of New York, where he would announce an investigation of a major business, either a Big Four accounting firm. He investigated three of them. Three Big Four accounting firms paid $45 million to get out from his investigations. Then they coordinated their campaign donations to him. 3 out of the 4 Big Four firms over a 6-year period gave Cuomo the exact amount of money, $83,333.33. They were given the same amount of money on the same dates in the same years to the governor.
Okay, that's weird.
Then you got the big banks. Citibank, investigated by Cuomo. They pay, settlement, and then they get the $4 billion travel and purchase card contract out of the New York State government after they give $70,000 worth of campaign cash. Again, the same pattern. Bank of America, same pattern. Cuomo goes after them. They plead settlements, and their CEO was he pled a settlement. And then what do they get? They get the New York. They get the big credit card in the state of New York on the child support debit card after they give Cuomo $81,600 worth of campaign cash. So you notice a pattern. Investigate, settle, campaign cash, contracts.
So basically, okay, I'm a simple girl here, and I want you to give it to me straight. Is this Cuomo driving a big semi truck right through as many loopholes he can in New York State ethically?
Yes, the biggest loophole was actually closed because of his abuse in January of 2019. So it was called the LLC loophole. There are campaign finance limits on everybody else except LLCs had gamed the system, and they basically could operate as a business underneath different limits that other businesses couldn't. They were capped. And so Cuomo raised $12.6 million of campaign cash through this quote-unquote LLC loophole. He was raising, in a given year, he was raising millions of dollars. Before they closed it, he raised almost $3.3 million. In 2019, the year they closed it, he raised less than $200,000. Now,
wow.
Here's how it works. And I want to give you an example of this, because this is a big realtor. And again, it's at arm's length. It's all legal in the state of New York, but I just don't think anyone will find this thing ethical. So, there's a real estate tycoon in New York, Scott Rexler. He's the owner of RXR Realty. That's an LLC. Scott, his wife, his children, they give Cuomo $540,000 in campaign donations. And that includes his LLCs, who gave $155,000. His brother, Todd, he gives another $90,000. And then Scott gets big appointments. So he becomes the chair of the New York, New Jersey Port Authority. He resigns from there. He goes over to the MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. He stays there till 2019. But we also found that his affiliated LLCs with his real estate business got $41 million worth of leases from 2 state agencies. So Rexler buys these buildings in 2014. The state agencies were the existing tenants, but I don't think that gets him out of the conflict of interest.
Right.
The new contracts were negotiated in 2014, 2019, 2020, and we needed a lot more information on this, of course. $13 million of lease payments have already been paid out.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I know we don't have enough time here in the show for you to continue to detail. I know there's just one other area that we were discussing before we went on air, and that was related to state-run utilities. Give us the last word on that.
So they're state regulated; they're not state-run. Your cable companies, your Comcast, your
telephones,
your telephone companies, AT&T, Verizon, Time Warner. So those companies, just those 5 companies, paid Cuomo $610,000 of campaign donations. Now, at a very minimum, in the state of New York, basically public utilities like these companies that are highly regulated, licensed, regulated by the administration. They should not be allowed to kick campaign cash, 610,000, and we detail nearly $250 million of state payments flowed back to those very companies.
Wow, this is really unbelievable. And like you said, in New York, there's no legislation on the books. So he's not technically breaking any laws. He is breaking a whole lot of ethical laws that the average American would find just reprehensible, right?
Exactly. Like I say, even in the corruption of Illinois, we have laws against this type of political fundraising activity from state vendors and from people that have business before the state. Those don't exist in New York, and Governor Cuomo is driving a bus through these very weak ethics laws.
Well, there's a ton of comments tonight, and we appreciate all of you guys joining us. Openthebooks.com auditors are working overtime on all of the oversight that today's modern legislator refuses to do, whether it's the state, whether it's the federal government. Adam, we really appreciate you guys. Just please tell everybody thank you. I know how hard you guys are working, and we've got more coming up over the next month or two before the end of the year. Anything, you get the last word before I take us out.
We appreciate you joining us here this evening. Just go over to openthebooks.com, surf Cuomo's campaign cash. Let us know what you find. We need 1,000 eyes on that database, and I'm sure we'll find a lot more. It is a target-rich environment. And then head over, hit the donate button. Just $1 a day, $30 a month. Set it up on automatic. Our auditors, more donations equal more investigations. Thank you very much for joining us.
Open the Books has not taken one dime of Paycheck Protection money. We will not take any money to compromise what we believe is the transparency revolution in today's government class, I guess is the best way to say it. So openthebooks.com, go check it out. We have our producer has posted all the links for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, next Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we will be back for another ripoff of the week. Thank you so much.